Kirk Frost has been involved in several scandals, but this one is particularly personal. Rumors have been circulating that Mom Scott Young and the producers of Love and Hip Hop are planning to fire him permanently, but he's not going down without a fight, and I promise you that he won't believe the lengths he's willing to go to maintain his spot, sources. Here's where things get messy. It turns out that Kirk may have some dirt on the producers that could turn the tables on him. Fans are shocked by the whispers of behind-the-scenes betrayal and backstabbing. Close to the situation reveals that Kirk is angry about being replaced and is accusing everyone of abandoning him, from L. Scott to his own castmates. So what's really happening? Is Kirk Frost going to reveal the truth and re-enter the show? Or is this the end of his reality TV career? Hold on tight, because this story is just beginning. Kirk Frost has always been a survivor and has survived every scandal, dispute, and heated argument on Love and Hip Hop. This time, though, something felt different. The rumors weren't just whispers, they were everywhere, and they weren't just conjecture. They were coming from within. He had seen cast members come and go, endured betrayals, and endured public humiliations. But no matter how bad things got, he always managed to secure his place. When Kirk first saw the post claiming that he was on the chopping block, he didn't take the rumor seriously because every season, people said that someone was being cut, and every year, cast members were afraid that they would be replaced. However, Kirk had experience with the show. He had contributed to the drama and always gave the producers exactly what they wanted. Producers were thinking of phasing him out, so they laughed at another unfounded rumor and another attempt to stir things up. However, when the leak began, industry insiders verified the sources, and most alarmingly, his own castmates remained silent, which is when Kirk realized this was more than just another rumor. A screenshot of an internal email hit. Social media first revealed a conversation between hip-hop producers and Love about updating the cast and bidding farewell to more seasoned actors. His name wasn't mentioned specifically, but fans instantly began to wonder who else they might be discussing. Next came the audio clip of a private production meeting that someone had recorded, and the words spoken in that room were sent to. Kirk's world is in a tailspin. Kirk's storyline is tired. We've gotten everything we can from him, and he's simply not as relevant anymore. The fans aren't as invested in him as they once were, and those words are devastating. But worse, he's replaceable. For years, Kirk had thought that he was too important to be cut, regardless of what happened, because he was a part of Love and the DNA of hip-hop, but now they were discussing him as if he were just another disposable cast member. He reached for his phone, his hands shaking with rage, and began calling people. The first person he called was Stevie J, who, if anyone knew how Love and hip-hop operate, was him. He had been kicked out before and had battled his way back into the spotlight. But when Stevie picked up the phone, after a lengthy pause, Stevie sighed, "Look, Kirk, I don't know all the details, but I heard some things. People are saying Mona wants to shake things up. They're bringing in fresh faces. They think some of us have run our course." Kirk's tone was off, and, "What's up, man?" Stevie said too casually. Kirk didn't waste any time telling me the truth about what's going on. When Stevie said, "It's not just about the show, bro. They got something on you," Kirk's blood ran cold. "What the hell are you talking about?" He stopped trying to control his frustration. "This can't be real," he said, "because I've been here since day one, Stevie, and I've built this show just as much as anyone else." Stevie hesitated, saying, "I don't know the details, but there's talk about something from your past that they think could hurt the brand." Kirk gritted his teeth, wondering how they could possibly have anything against him. He had been through everything: cheating scandals, child support drama, even rumors about his marriage falling apart, but nothing had ever been severe enough to get him removed from the show before he could press charges. For additional information, Stevie heard a beep and saw that Rasheeda, his wife, partner, and biggest supporter, was receiving another call. Since she was the only one who truly knew what was happening, he switched calls right away. Rasheeda sighed and told him what was going on, and he realized that she wasn't merely listening to rumors. She knew something, Kirk. Her voice was gentle and careful, as I had previously told you. His chest tightened, but I would rather not worry you until I had additional information. Now she took a deep breath. I spoke with the producer off the record, and they said they were concerned about your image because something from your past, Kirk, came up, and if it gets out, it could be bad. His pulse pounded in his ears, and he thought, "What the hell are you talking about, Rasheeda?" Rasheeda hesitated for a moment before she finally said, "They're saying you were involved in something illegal, Kirk, something serious, and if this gets out, you might not just lose the show, you might lose everything for the first time since this nightmare." He closed his eyes and gripped the phone tighter, whispering, "Tell me." Kirk Frost had experienced his fair share of drama in the reality TV industry, but this time it was different. This wasn't just rumors of cheating or gossip. This was something that could permanently end his career. He paced back and forth in his home office, his mind racing, the thought of being replaced having already enraged him. Something deeper was going on. Someone was looking into his past in an attempt to destroy him. Rasheeda sat across from him, arms folded, eyes wide with worry. Kirk listened to me saying, "You need to figure out who's behind this before it spirals out of control." Kirk let out a sharp exhale and rubbed his hands together. I know, but I don't even know where to start," he said, "and the producers aren't telling me who started." Kirk's heart was thumping when his phone buzzed again, this time from an unknown number. He hesitated for a moment before answering, but then a low, confident voice said, "Hello, Kirk. You're in deep, aren't you?" His grip tightened on the phone, and the person on the other end laughed. "Let's just say that someone knows what's coming, and trust me, you're..." Kirk's stomach twisted, and he said, "If you have something to say, say it." The voice went on slowly and deliberately, "Getting receipts, old deals, money, and things you thought were buried, and now the producers are holding it." Kirk's breath caught in his throat, but he was careful, hadn't he? He glanced at Rasheeda, who was watching carefully and trying to read. Kirk clenched his jaw and said, "I don't know what you're talking about." He laughed again. "Yeah, but let me tell you something, you better start preparing for the fallout." The call ended, and Kirk slowly lowered his phone, his mind racing. Rasheeda leaned forward and spoke urgently. "Kirk, what the hell was that? What did they mean by old deals?" "I don't know," Kirk said. Rash narrowed her eyes and said, "You need to find out who's behind this, because if this gets out, if this story blows up, you won't just be replaced, you'll be blacklisted." Kirk nodded slowly, feeling as though everything had fallen on him. "I don't know, baby. I mean, I made some moves back in the day, but nothing that could get me caught up like this." He needed answers, and the only place to start was with Karlie Red Kirk, who showed up at the restaurant without warning. Karlie was in the middle of a conversation and enjoying a cocktail when she noticed him, and her lips curled into a smirk. Well, look who finally decided to show up." Kirk ignored her attitude and walked into the booth across from her, cutting the act. "Karlie, I know you've been..." Karlie raised an eyebrow, obviously enjoying this. "Oh, and what exactly am I being accused of this time?" Kirk leaned low in his voice and said, "I'm getting called anonymous numbers, implying that there is some dirt on me and that the producers are consuming it. Since you like to snoop around in other people's affairs, I assumed that." Karlie was laughing and shaking her head. "Please, I'm not about time." Kirk studied Karlie carefully. She was messy, but she wasn't cunning like this. She loved drama, but she loved owning it. Perhaps Rasheeda was right. Perhaps this was bigger than Karlie. Karlie sipped her drink. "But I'll say this. You're not wrong to be concerned that the streets are talking, and from what I hear, this isn't. Somebody has it out for you." Kirk's stomach tightened, who leaned back and tapped her nails against the table. "That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If I were you, I would be looking at people you thought you could trust." But Kirk froze his mind and went straight to one person who knew everything about him and had been too quiet lately, Bambi. The drive to Bambi's house was quiet, and Kirk was thinking a lot as he tried to piece together whether or not Bambi was the one setting him up. She had every reason to do so. They had been cool once, but she had distanced herself after the fallout with Scrappy, and she had always been shrewd about using drama to her advantage. When he got there, Bambi was waiting for him. Kirk stepped closer, his voice tight with anger, and Bambi narrowed her eyes. "What are you talking about?" Kirk asked, looking unimpressed. "What the hell are you doing here?" Harp didn't waste time cutting the games. "Are you the one behind this? Are you the one feeding the producer stories about me? Someone's trying to take me down." "Started when you started acting funny," Bambi scoffed, and Kirk wasn't convinced. "Why is your name coming up? And why are people saying that I should be keeping an eye on my back around you?" Bambi's face darkened because they want you to look at the wrong people, and Kirk's chest tightened. "Then tell me who I." It should be watching Vanny rub her forehead. "Kirk, listen to me. If someone is trying to bury you, it's not from me. However, if you want my advice, look at the network and the people in charge, because this isn't about replacing you on the show. Rather, it's about getting rid of you permanently." Kirk felt uncomfortable. The network's producers. Kirk sat in his car, tearing the steering wheel so tightly that his knuckles turned white, his mind racing. If Bambi was telling the truth, as her tone indicated, then this wasn't just about petty drama. It was about the network. Personal vendetta. This was Bubber, and if he didn't figure out who was really behind it, he was about to lose everything. Producers were not merely replacing him, they were attempting to erase him. However, he needed answers, and the only person who could give them was Stevie J. Stevie had been in the game for too long and was familiar with the producer's methods and chess moves. If anyone could help him understand what was going on, it was him. Kirk took out his phone and dialed Stevie. Kirk responded to Stevie's voice as casually as ever, and after a pause, Stevie sighed. "I thought you would call me and meet me at the spot." 30 minutes later, Kirk pulled up to a dimly lit lounge that only a select few people in the industry knew about, and Stevie was already there, leaning back in a booth and drinking a drink as if he didn't give a damn. Kirk slid into the booth across from him, his jaw clenched. "I know you know what's going on," Kirk said, and before putting down his glass, Stevie took another SI. "You're late to the party, man. Everyone knew this was coming except for you." "What the hell does that mean?" Kirk asked, leaning forward with a serious expression. "Now the network is cleaning house, Kirk," he said. "They've been planning this for months." Kirk shook his head and said, "You think this is about you?" "Nah, it's bigger than that." "Then why the hell are they making me the target?" Stevie exclaimed. "Because you were an easy exit. You gave them gold for years, but now they don't need you. They need a new villain. You had drama, scandals, and messy situations with Rasheeda, Hellman." Stevie gave him a knowing look. "This isn't new, bro. This is Hollywood. They build you up, then they tear you down." Kirk sat back, his heart pounding, and everything began to make sense. The show needs drama to survive, and the producers are changing the narrative by bringing in new faces and blood, and you're in the way. Kirk clenched his fists. Kirk's mind was racing the whole drive home because of the way the producers had been acting differently, how the scenes had been getting shorter, and how some cast members had suddenly been given more screen time. This wasn't random. They had been phasing him out gradually and strategically. Now that they were going for the kill shot, Kirk felt trapped if the network had already made. Rasheeda was waiting with his arms crossed when he entered through the front door. His face looked like he had seen a ghost, and Kirk ran a hand down it. "It's worse than I anticipated, she. This isn't about me messing up. It's not about some old scandal returning, and they're purposefully cutting me out." Didn't change, so we retaliated against Kirk's control over everything. They could edit me out and twist the narrative to make me look insane, and if they wanted to, they could make me the biggest villain on TV overnight. Rasheeda moved closer, so we flipped the script. If they wanted to make you look bad, we were ahead of them and had control over the story before they did. Kirk stared at her, perplexed. Smiling, we reveal our version of events, giving the impression that you're leaving on your own terms, as if you're leaving the show because you're too big for reality TV. Kirk raised an eyebrow, suggesting that you really believe that people will believe that. Rasheeda nodded. "Hell yeah. and we make it appear as though you're the one making moves rather than the other way around when they try. In an attempt to portray you as a defunct reality star, people will assume you left on your own. Kirk began to see the vision, and if they could take control of the story first, it would be more difficult for the producers to turn it against him. He took out his phone and opened Instagram, and if he was going down, he was going out on his own terms. The following morning, the internet. I've decided it's time for a new chapter after years of being on reality TV. I've given my heart and soul to this show, and now it's time to move on to bigger things. I appreciate my fans, my supporters, and everyone who's been part of this journey. But trust me, K's post went viral within hours, featuring a sleek, well-edited video of him sitting in his home studio and speaking directly to his fans. This is just the beginning of a new era. #BigMold, OnlyFans went crazy, and support poured in from all directions. Damn, Kirk leaving the show is crazy. He really made the right decision. Reality TV isn't it anymore. This man just advanced in respect, and even celebrities began praising him. The best part, though, was that the producers were caught off guard because they hadn't even had the chance to consider it. Opportunity to offer their explanation, but by the time they attempted to do so, it was too late. The public had already concluded that Kirk Frost was changing and not being fired. Later that night, Kirk was reading through the comments when his phone rang from an unknown number once more. He hesitated for a moment before responding, yes, in a low, confident, and intelligent voice. Kirk's stomach dropped, but he demanded, and the call ended. He stared at the screen, his heart thumping, and he thought, who the hell is this? The voice laughed, just someone who knows the game. Trust me, you just bought yourself a little time. Kirk sat frozen, the phone still in his hand, his pulse hammering in his ears as he stared at the screen, trying to comprehend what had just happened. That voice, that mysterious message. This isn't over. Who the hell was playing tricks on him? Was it a producer or someone from the network trying to rile him up? Or was it someone bigger who was actually pulling the strings? Behind the scenes, a shiver went down his spine because if someone had taken the trouble to warn him in that way, it meant they were keeping an eye on him and weren't finished with him yet. The following morning, Kirk woke up to chaos, his phone exploding with calls, messages, and notifications, and he could feel something happening all the time. His heart was racing as he opened Twitter, and then when Frost Expo saw it, while trimming number one, his breath caught in his throat. His fingers trembled as he clicked on the hashtag, and what he saw made his stomach drop. Screenshots of old emails, leaked messages, texts, and direct messages between him and women he didn't even remember talking to, or worse, ones that had been altered to malign him. The headlines were harsh, and Kirk Frost's true reason for leaving the show was revealed by Shady.gs. Did Kirk attempt to silence former cast members of reality stars? Did dirty secrets come to light? Was this the end? Someone had been holding on to this information, waiting for the right time to reveal it, and now they had set him up to fail. Rasheeda stormed into the room. Her face was clenched in rage, and she demanded that Kirk hold up her phone and tell her that he hadn't sent these messages. Kirk rubbed his face in frustration, saying, I don't even remember half of this cheetah. Some of it's fake. I can tell just by looking at it. But the issue is that no one cares anymore what's real or fake. Rasheeda shook her head, saying, You were supposed to. When she pointed to her phone, Kirk slammed his fist against the table, saying, This isn't a coincidence. Someone's setting me up. Rasheeda let out a sharp exhale. So who is it who has this kind of power? This was the million-dollar question, and Kirk had no idea who the hell had it out for him. He was going to discover, however, that he needed answers, and the only person who might have them was Mona Scott Young, the woman who had made KT a household name, built love and hip-hop from the ground up, and who could just as easily bury him if anyone knew who was responsible. Kirk made the call, and it rang 3 times before she answered. Kirk Mama's voice was smooth. However, there was a tinge to it. Kirk asked, eschewing the small talk, and then I saw everything. The question is, do you know why it's happening? Kirk gritted his teeth, which is what I'm trying to figure out. Putting that moan aside, it's already too late, and Kirk's stomach is twisted. What the hell does that mean? M said calmly. A cold dread settled in Kirk's chest as he realized that this isn't just about him. The show is changing and you are a part of the past. Kirk clenched his jaw, but that doesn't explain the smear campaign. M.A. exhaled. No, it doesn't. But what I can tell you is that you're up against people who want you out of the industry as well as off the show. As soon as he hung up, Kirk was already on the go. He didn't even tell Rasheeda where he was going. He just drove straight to the one place he never knew existed. This wasn't a ruse that Kirk pressed. Who's pulling the string? Mona was silent for a moment before she said a name that made Kirk's blood run cold. The real power brokers of reality TV operated in an old warehouse on the outskirts of the city, where deals were made off the record. As soon as he entered, he saw Stevie J. Kirk sitting at a table, drinking a drink as if he had been drinking it constantly. Stevie grinned and put down his glass, saying, "Damn, Kirk, it took you so long." Kirk's pulse thumped, and Stevie leaned back, completely unfazed, and said, "What the hell do you gain from this?" Kirk's jaw tightened. "And you set me up with weak fake messages that turned the network against me." Stevie laughed. "Oh, Kirk, the network was already done with you. I just gave them a little push." Stevie's smirk widened, and Kirk's chest burned with anger. "You think you're going to replace me? I already did." Kirk lunged, but before he could get close to Stevie, two men emerged from the shadows, bodyguards, all of them large and prepared for battle. Kirk froze, and Stevie smiled. "That's your problem, Kirk. You don't know when you've already lost." Kirk's breath came quickly, his fists clenched at his sides. The following morning, Kirk sat on his balcony looking out at the city. His world had changed overnight. His career was on the verge of collapsing. His reputation was hanging by a thread, and the worst part was that he never even saw it coming. He wanted to swing. He wanted to take that smug look off Stevie's face, but he knew this fight was over and Stevie had won for the time being. Kirk's story isn't finished yet, but what will happen next? Will he be able to fight back against the forces attempting to remove him from the industry, or has Stevie J already sealed his fate? Kirk finally spoke, and his grip tightened around his coffee mug. Now, we rebuild because if they thought they could erase him, they had another thing coming. Do you think Kirk Frost's reality TV career is coming to an end, or will he make a surprise comeback? Share your ideas in the comments below. Some people think Kirk deserves another shot, while others believe his time in the spotlight is truly done. Remember to like and leave comments. Turn on alerts and subscribe, because this scenario, believe me, is far from over. Keep checking back for the next twist in Sada. This explosive reality TV